civilization! Rome is order! Rome is power!
A te coste
A date which will live in infamy.
Well, I'm not a crook. I burn everything I've done.
I am Napoleon. I am Emperor.
GI, your government has abandoned you. They have ordered you to die.
If you go down in the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you better go.
There are things that go bump in the night, and we are the ones who bump back.
Because today...
The Winchester Legacy: Innovation, Tragedy and Mystery. Oliver Fisher Winchester was born on November the 30th, 1810 in Boston, Massachusetts, a bustling port city at the heart of a young and rapidly changing nation. He was the son of Samuel Winchester, a hard-working farmer, and Hannah Bates Winchester, a devoted mother. The Winchesters were of modest means. There was no inherited wealth, no family name of privilege, only perseverance. Tragedy shadowed his early life. His father, Samuel, died whilst Oliver was still a young man, leaving the family in hardship. His mother, Hannah, would pass away not long after. Her death, another wound that strengthened Oliver's resolve to succeed. The exact dates of their death have faded into history, but their influence on Oliver never did. With little formal education and no family fortune, he apprenticed as a carpenter, learning craftsmanship, patience and precision, qualities that would later define his life's work. In 1834, at the age of 23, he married Jane Ellen Hope. Together they had several children, though only one son survived to adulthood. This was William Wirt Winchester, born in 1837. By the 1840s, Oliver had traded hammer and nails for needle and thread. He moved to New Haven, Connecticut, and founded a men's shirt manufacturing company. In the early days of the Industrial Revolution, factories were transforming how Americans, and many over the world frankly, lived and worked. And Winchester quickly mastered the new machinery of progress. He streamlined production, improved quality, and his fine dress shirt became a staple among the rising middle class. He had built a comfortable fortune. But Oliver Winchester was never a man to rest easy. As he looked beyond his successful factory, he saw another industry booming, one that was reshaping the very landscape of the globe: the firearms industry. By the mid-1850s, he had invested in a struggling enterprise called the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company, founded by two inventors whose names would one day be legendary: Horace Smith and Daniel B. Wesson. Their design, the volcanic rifle, was revolutionary for its time, using a self-contained metallic cartridge, but it was unreliable, underpowered, and financially disastrous. Where others saw failure, Winchester saw potential. He purchased a controlling interest in the company, reorganized it, and renamed it to the New Haven Arms Company. Smith & Wesson would go on to build their revolver empire, but Winchester stayed behind, refining the repeating rifle that would change everything. At the New Haven Arms Company, a talented gunsmith named Benjamin Tyler Henry took the Volcanic's flawed concept and transformed it into a masterpiece. In 1860, Henry patented a new rifle, the Henry Repeating Rifle, chambered for the .44 caliber rimfire cartridge. It could fire 16 shots in quick succession without reloading. Revolutionary, of course, for its time. In an age when most rifles fired just one shot before a soldier had to reload from the muzzle, the Henry was nothing short of a miracle. When the American Civil War broke out, the Henry rifle found its place in history. Though never standard issue, Union soldiers who could afford one prized it above all other weapons. Confederate soldiers, often armed with slower muzzle loaders, called it That damned Yankee rifle that they load on Sunday and shoot all week. In the smoky fields of battle, at places like Petersburg and Franklin, the Henry rifle's firepower was decisive. After the war, the rifle followed the soldiers westward. Pioneers, frontiersmen, Native American warriors, and lawmen alike carried it across the great expanse of the frontier. By 1866, Oliver Winchester had reorganized yet again, this time as the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. The company's first great triumph was the Winchester Model 1866, an improved Henry rifle with a brass frame, a new loading mechanism, and a name that would echo through American history. They called it the Yellow Boy. Then came the Winchester Model 1873, the rifle immortalized as the gun that won the West. It was a weapon of settlers, sheriffs and soldiers, of buffalo hunters and ranch hands. It symbolized a nation expanding, sometimes violently, into the frontier. You might say it was one instrument in the orchestra of manifest destiny. While the slogan was more marketing than reality, the rifle's presence in American hands was undeniable.
Oliver Winchester was also active in politics. He served as the New Haven City Commissioner and Republican presidential elector in 1864, also serving as the Lieutenant Governor of Connecticut from 1866 to 1867.
The Winchester Repeating Arms Company grew into one of the most respected manufacturers in the world. Oliver Winchester, the former shirt maker, had become a symbol of American ingenuity and ambition. But behind the success lay sorrow. His daughter, Anne Rebecca, died young, and his own health began to falter. On December the 10th, 1880, at the age of 70, Oliver Fisher Winchester passed away in New Haven, Connecticut. He was buried in Evergreen Cemetery, his empire now left to his son, William Wirt Winchester. Yet fate would be cruel still. Only 3 months later, on the 7th of March 1881, William himself died of tuberculosis, leaving his widow, Sarah Pardee Winchester, alone, grieving and extraordinarily wealthy. She inherited more than $20 million and a 50% stake in the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, a fortune that would be worth hundreds of millions today. In 1884, seeking solace and perhaps a new beginning, Sarah Winchester moved to the Santa Clara Valley of California. There she purchased a small farmhouse and began building and building and building. Over the next 38 years, this modest farmhouse transformed into a sprawling architectural enigma. It is now known as the Winchester Mystery House. Rooms were added haphazardly, staircases led into ceilings, doors opened into empty air, and windows looked into other rooms. No blueprint guided the work. Sarah Winchester's instructions reportedly changed daily, and construction continued day and night for decades. According to legend, Sarah believed she was haunted by the spirits of those killed by Winchester rifles, and that as long as she kept building, she would keep death and these spirits at bay. The story goes that a medium had once told her, "As long as you continue to build your home, you will live. When the house is finished, you will die." But historians tell a more quiet story. Whilst it is true that Sarah was fascinated by spiritualism, as many of those in the Victorian era were, of course there is no solid evidence she truly believed her life depended on perpetual construction. What is known is that she poured her grief, her wealth, and her imagination into the house, perhaps as an act of coping, perhaps simply as a personal form of meditation. In 1906, the Great San Francisco earthquake struck. The mansion's 7-story tower collapsed, trapping Sarah temporarily in one of her bedrooms. Much of the upper floors were destroyed, and afterwards she chose not to rebuild them. From then on, she confined herself mostly to the West Wing and continued smaller renovations until her death. When Sarah Winchester died on September 5, 1922, the house contained roughly 160 rooms, 47 fireplaces, and 40 staircases. It was both beautiful and bewildering, part masterpiece, and part maze. After her death, the estate was sold, and in 1923 it opened to the American public as a tourist attraction. Almost immediately, it was dubbed the most haunted house in America. Visitors and guides began to tell stories, tales of strange lights, ghostly whispers, and cold draughts in empty halls. Among these legends is the tale of the so-called wheelbarrow ghost, said to be the spirit of a long-dead worker, eternally pushing a wheelbarrow through the dim corridors of the basement. Visitors have claimed to hear his footsteps, the squeak of his wheel, and sometimes even see a fleeting shadow vanish around the corner. Whether haunted or not, the Winchester Mystery House remains a marvel of imagination and mystery. It stands today not only as a symbol of one woman's eccentricity, but as a reflection of the era's obsessions with progress, with grief, and with the thin veil between the living and the dead. Oliver Winchester's story, and that of his surviving family, is one of contrasts. Industry and invention, grief and myth. His rifles helped forge a nation, for better or for worse. They armed soldiers, settlers and explorers, changing both warfare and daily life forever. And yet, through Oliver's son's widow's mansion, his name became linked not only with power and precision, but with mystery and superstition. Today, the Winchester name endures, etched into the barrels of rifles and whispered in the corridors of that strange California mansion. Two legacies, one of innovation and one of imagination, forever intertwined. In steel and in stone, the Winchester story lives on. A story of invention, of ambition, of love, loss, and the haunting reach of legacy.